We are back at it with Kurt Busch, who joins us now, driver the number 22. Let me see if I get it right. Pennzoil. Shell Pennzoil. See, I messed up already. Shell Pennzoil Dodge. I tried. I really did try. This is one of your favorite tracks. Do you do well here? What'd you learn so far?
Yeah, I really enjoy just coming out to the West Coast. It feels like home, and all of the years that I've been here as a fan and as a driver, it's always fun just to be at the track and off with the regular season. I mean, here we go. Daytona's Daytona. It's a great championship in one weekend, so to speak. But now the regular season starts, and what's fun and unique about this weekend is this reminds me of the time slot of the year that the Copper Classic used to be back in the day with the midgets, sprint cars, super modifieds, and then the Southwest Tour cars. So that's just the mindset that I have this weekend on, hey, it's that time of year, it's race at Phoenix, and it's always been a fun track for me, and the success I've had here, it's been good. So looking forward to it with the Shell Pennzoil Dodge. We were fastest in the first session, and we'll see what we get in the second session. We're really going to focus on race trim and try to get our car good on the long run.
Shell Pennzoil Dodge. I'll remember now that I messed it up. Let's start with Tom, and then I think I saw Lee next.
Hey, Kurt, Tom Jensen from Speed.com. You were almost half a second faster than anybody in the first practice. It's like beating somebody by 3 touchdowns in a football game. What do you attribute that to? That's an unusual in the first practice be that much better.
Yeah, what's interesting right now is we have the ability to do what we want in qualifying practice. So you see guys in race trim, you're seeing guys in qualifying trim. We went out in qualifying trim, and I think I got a draft, or at least the air was broken up when I chased Boyer down right in front of me, and that might have added to our car going a little bit faster. And then the only real other car that we saw in qualifying trim was my teammate Keselowski and Jeff Burton. And those guys didn't quite get the perfect lap in. Our car was just perfect right off the bat. It qualified third here last fall. That's the setup we started with. And then the second run I made was much slower than that. And so, again, the track seems to me like it's real fast in the beginning, and then it slows up. Our goal was to go out right away, post a good lap in case qualifying is rained out tomorrow, because now we take that lap speed that we have, and that's our run for qualifying if we don't get to qualify tomorrow.
Lee
Spencer, Fox Sports. It appears there's a lot of grip out there, and I mean, just when you get the track the way you want it, they're going to reconfigure it. Do you have thoughts on that and what you anticipate for the fall?
Yeah, right now it's amazing how we set a track record last fall. And with the surface the way it is, it's time for them to resurface it just with the cracks that are developing and some of the harshness that you see in the asphalt. It's been there for some years now. So I think with the repaving, it's going to be a great atmosphere for them to do something different and to add to the racing excitement here with the variable banking. And they're going to tweak the dogleg a little bit to create a sharper dogleg down the back straightaway. So it's going to change the whole outlook. And when we come back here for a chase race, 2 to go in the fall, it's really just going to be a roll of the dice. And I think it's smart on NASCAR's part of it to shake up the chase a little bit with a brand new racetrack.
Reed.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Kurt, you touched on it a little bit, but could you talk about, just in relation to what you used to do, how the loss of the set of the tires and the fact that you've got to put down a lap early has changed your whole approach to the weekend?
Yeah, there's just a couple different ways to look at it right now, and we felt like going out early and posting a lap, it was important. And we'll see how this next session goes. We still have one more set of stickers that we can put on our car for a Q run at the end, because at the end of practice, it's going to be close to 5:30. That'll have optimum track conditions. So we'll see if guys are picking up a lot of speed towards the end. You're going to see the gap really close up here in the second practice.
Jim
Noble, PRN Sirius. I know you've answered the Las Vegas question any possible way it could be asked or answered, but when you head there next week, do your feelings about going home to that track, have they evolved over the years? Do they, as you get older, do you, I don't know, appreciate it more, or is it still really always your goal, as it has been from the day you started racing, to win there?
Oh, it's always been on my high priority list to do, and to win at your hometown track is special with just the fans and a lot of the people that helped you get to this point. are there. All the Star Nursery gang that I used to have as my crew members, he was the car owner, he's always been there rooting me on. The quality air conditioning guys, all of the different teams and people I've raced with are there. And it really comes full circle when you can win at your hometown with all the people that have helped you. And to me, I treat Vegas a little bit like Daytona. Well, maybe I shouldn't do that because I haven't won at either place yet.
Mulhern and then Gluck.
Mike Mulhern, MikeMulhern.net. How much would you pay Goodyear to be part of the tire test here before the race in the fall?
It's going to be interesting to see who they pick and how they decide who's going to be a participant in this tire test. So we're looking at there's a possibility of a Darlington tire test. We've heard that there's a possibility of a Kansas tire test. Phoenix obviously is very important because it's part of the chase. So you got to do whatever you can to be on that list. And if it's up to me, you wouldn't have anybody that's in the chase come out here and test. It would have to be teams that weren't involved in the chase. But let's just say my teammate Keselowski doesn't make the top 12. Does that mean he can't come out here and test because his teammate is in? That's going to be a tough question for Goodyear to decide. Yeah, NASCAR threw a wrench in the program with auto manufacturers testing with the base that we're just not we don't have enough quantity to go out there with the Dodges and go to the tire tests like we used to. So now it's more just a cherry picking you see for tire tests. So it kind of hurt the Dodges in that fashion.
Gluck and then Dustin.
Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Kurt, late in the 500, you had worked well with Regan all week long. Late in the 500, you got that big push, and then he unfortunately got turned. Regan was in here earlier, and he said that after an incident like that, there's no need to talk or call you guys because there's kind of a shared understanding that it was unintentional. I mean, obviously unintentional, but shared understanding after an incident like that. Is that standard for drivers when you get into a wreck that's clearly not anybody's fault? There's no need to even say, hey, I know it was nobody's fault. It's just known, I guess.
Yeah, there's that thought that each driver has when something happens and if nobody steps over the line, then it's kind of just pushed away. And I was going to reach out for him today to talk to him and tell him what a great speed weeks it was for both of us. It was the best speed weeks I've ever had, and I couldn't have done it without his help. Did it end up wrong in the end with him? But he ended up almost like hitting a pillow, got his car back out there, and he finished 7th. I mean, it was amazing for that to happen. The run Tony Stewart had behind me and Dale Jr., they were teamed up, pushing hard. Could Tony have lifted? Yes. I was on the brakes as hard as I could not to run into Regan Smith. It's just one of those chain reactions that it happens. And I don't think Regan has any hard feelings. The way they ended and finished 7th, it seemed to kind of push it off to the side. But I got to thank Regan Smith again for such a great speed weeks. Who knew that we were going to team up the way that we did? And it all turned out to be the best positive effort for the 78 and the 22.
Dustin and then Lewis.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. Looking ahead to Talladega, do you expect this type of racing is what you saw at Daytona? Are there certain things that NASCAR should consider, whether kind of rule changes with the cars? Are you comfortable with being able to flip over to another driver's channel and have another spotter call you? Are there certain things that NASCAR should be looking at as the series moves to Talladega in a few months after what we saw last week?
Man, I was hoping to close the chapter on Daytona and jump into the regular season. It's it's in April. It's a long ways away. We're not thinking about it at all. But to answer your question, I think that NASCAR should step in on drivers being on other teams' radios. The FAA has to have open radios for everybody to scan each other, which is fine. But we shouldn't be able to communicate with radios because let's just say a driver wrecks and he throws a steering wheel on the dash and keys up the mic, and he was just on your channel. Now you're messed up because that channel is omitted because it's just got the squelching going on. So there's those problems, and I think we should just all stay on our own channel and leave it up to the crew chiefs and the spotters to communicate. You're going to see the same style at Talladega. I think the drivers have gotten smarter. The teams have gotten better with keeping the cars cool. You're going to see the two-car draft exercised at Talladega when we get there in April.
And I understand your concern, but were were you on other drivers' channels? Did that help you when you were pushed or that situation? Was that a benefit in any way?
The only time there was people that came to our channel. We didn't go to anybody else's. If people wanted to come to us, they could come to us. And my little brother came on with 4 laps to go, and we were teamed up. It was going to be perfect. I enjoyed the communication with him, and then it didn't even turn out once they dropped the green. We were tied together, got onto the back straightaway, a wreck happened. He got a flat tire, and then he was gone. So you work on the relationships during the yellow, but when they drop the green, everything goes haywire, and it's like, man, you got to start all over again. So it's very difficult to commit to somebody when you have the radio channels and everything going back and forth. It's just, you got to react and race the race cars. You can't really try to manipulate it over the radio. You just got to react to what you see on track.
Lewis.
Lewis Frank Reuters. Earlier, you talked about the importance of final practice. We don't know what the weather exactly is going to be on Sunday, but in normally you expect like a late practice like 5:30 that the weather would be cooler than it would be at 1 o'clock. So you and Steve have a magic abacus to translate numbers in different ambient temperatures back to race temperatures?
We're not as smart as you think we are. The mindset going into the first practice session is that's when the track has the least amount of rubber buildup on it, and that's when the track is usually its fastest. You see a lot of guys post quick lap times before the track gets rubbered in and greased up, and now every nationwide car making laps is just going to make the track greasier and greasier. So then you have the 5 o'clock call that's coming up here shortly on, is the track going to cool off and equal out the rubber buildup? So we'll see how that shakes out once we get into tonight's practice session.
Any questions for Kurt Busch downstairs?
No questions downstairs.
Kurt, thank you for visiting. Good
Great,
luck
thank
this
you.
weekend.
Appreciate it.